Hello and welcome to
Hey!
Up at Noon Live. I'm Brian Altano. This is Max Scoville. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful end to a very long week. We're going to make the best of it. Up at Noon is your weekly comedy variety show right here on IGN to catch all the weird stuff that the rest of the shows on IGN didn't really want to bother with, or we thought was cooler than what they were doing. So we want to give a very special thank you to Maneater, who is our first sponsor of Up at Noon Live at 5 since we brought the show back in Quarantine Zone 7 weeks ago. We're very proud of the show. It's very near and dear to our hearts. And Maneater is a game that we've been really excited for a long time. So this is super awesome. And also, we love sharks, the animal. It is a great animal.
They're a cool animal. They do all sorts of great stuff in the sea. So we were very thrilled to find out that they're making a video game about it. Should we talk about Maneater a little bit? Should we explain what this wonderful thing is?
Yeah, sure. So, Maneater is a game that you and I particularly have been tracking for a very long time now. Since the second it was announced, we kind of just like perked up our gills and said, "Hey, that's exactly what I'm looking for right now." And yes, if you
I
think
think
that was a bad
we did more yelling. I think we kind of were
we
banging
did.
on chairs at E3 and being like, "They made the shark game. We want the shark."
So Maneater is an open world shark RPG or a shark PG. It is single player. It is the story of a young bull shark who gets her mother killed by an evil, corrupt fisherman in a world that's basically gone over the top with, comically bad, insane villains who have polluted the seas and made everything difficult for aquatic life everywhere. And it is your job to grow and evolve and level up and get revenge on those horrible fishermen who tried to hurt you. This is a game that we're both very excited for. It's being developed by Tripwire Interactive, who made Killing Floor, along with Blindside Interactive. And the combat is really fun. It's basically inspired by Punch-Out and Dark Souls. You've got like dodges and parries and all that fun stuff. And you can completely, and this is a weird sentence, kid out your shark to basically give her all different sorts of apparatuses and abilities, and even mess with the way it devours things and consumes and digests protein. And we're going to be playing it in a little bit to show you just how crazy it gets and how so completely R-ish this game is. But in the meantime, yeah, Max, what are your thoughts on this one?
So the thing I really appreciate, you say this is like an over-the-top look at pollution. I think it's like pretty close to how bad things are, and I've been feeling like a little bit misanthropic lately, like a little bit of ire towards the human race. So playing as a game where you get to be a shark, nature's perfect killing machine, just running around and well, not running, but going around eating people and just messing up a bunch of like, a bunch of crappy human beings, making the world a worse place for those poor fish out there. It's a good feeling. It's also, this game is hilarious. Like the whole thing is it's framed as like a reality show nature documentary, and it's all narrated by Chris Parnell, which is just I was not expecting the writing to be this scathing and just satirical. So
yeah, you and I are both huge comedy fans, and it's like cool to see games tackle that more, especially one that hits like this. Because I think specifically, you kind of mentioned it, we're all kind of locked up right now, and going to the beach is scary unless you want to roll the dice, and we don't really have a lot of like player freedom in our personal lives right now. And so I was really itching for like an open world game to hit right around now, and serendipitously it did. And this game does that thing. I mean, you and I are both like huge fans of like Dark Souls and Bloodborne and those kind of open world games that even like Fallout, that allow you to basically veer off wherever you want to go early on and just get completely wrecked by some like level 35 monster. And this game does that. I like very early on in the game, I treaded into some treacherous waters when I was like level 3 and just got completely annihilated by like some level 27 alligator. There's just like giant alpha male, apex predator beasts all over the sea, ready to tear you apart. And it's also this game, and you'll see it, is really really hilarious in just the way traversal works, because you can basically like there'll be like a campfire on the side of a beach and you can flop your big shark body up and just like jut around while you suffocate and just destroy it.
I feel like when they were developing this game, they were like, "Hey, why is the term jump the shark considered a bad thing? Let's have fun with that." And so your shark can do like triple jumps, and there's the whole thing of like, why are sharks so scary? All you have to do is stay on the land. And it's like, yeah, but what if the shark could go up on the land and like also, spike you with its tail? Like it's it's very video gamey in the best of ways. So, yeah. Without further ado, should we show it off?
Yeah, let's show it off. This is probably the hardest you and I have laughed during a Let's Play in a very long time, and I'm very, very happy we got to do this. So without further ado, here is 10 minutes of Max and Brian just completely causing chaos and fighting apex predators in Maneater. Let's check it out.
You know what my favorite thing to do is?
I love that you just snatched him right off the top deck of his boat. He's on like he's having a nice Saturday afternoon.
Hey everybody, Max and Brian here, and we are dressed as the shark's one true enemy, the human fisherman. Anyway, we are about to play a brand new open world shark PG known as Maneater.
It's about a shark who gets bigger and stronger and grows up to tear apart the entire ocean and land and everything in between, and get his teeth full of blood and get powers and kill apex predators and also turtles, which I sort of feel bad about.
Here's my shark. She's an adult shark, but she has some cool powers, such as the lightning teleport.
Holy crap.
From electric fins. Yeah, it's awesome. And she has electric teeth, which I like a lot. So I'm sort of back at the early part of the game.
Look at that.
I just turn into lightning.
Look at that air, dude. That rules.
Yeah. All right. So you are a considerably higher level than I am. You are an elder shark at level 22.
That's right.
Show me your shark. Let me see. Let me get a look at this beaut. Oh,
yeah.
Good God.
I'm rugged looking. Look at this. I look like half-rotten battle scars from just decades of just tearing apart the sea.
Pull up your stats. Let me see what your outfit is.
So I have a shadow teeth, I have a bone body, I have shadow fins, and I have advanced sonar and protein digestion, which basically every time I eat something, I get more health and more energy, which is great for doing battles, and mineral digestion, which I think is good for some poops.
This is terrifying. I've kind of been exploring a bit outside of the story beats, but look at this guy, huh? You know what my favorite thing to do is?
I love that you just snatched him right off the top deck of his boat. He's on like
he's having
a nice Saturday afternoon. Yeah, they had a guitar, I think.
Yeah, that's what you get for playing acoustic guitars on a pontoon boat, you town fools. Get out of here. Yeah, delicious humans.
I'm very happy that we wore fisherman costumes for this because we're the enemy.
It's getting hot.
Oh, look, Max.
What do you got?
It's a jet ski.
Eat him.
Let's get him, yeah!
Oh my god!
That flew so far.
I love video games. I love that they take a thing that's like realistic, but they're like, realistic is boring. Let's go nuts. Let's go bonkers with this.
I love to just jump into the air and hurt the humans in this game. Look at this.
What in the hell are you doing, man?
Yeah, look at these jumps I can do. I can basically just do air hops.
It's remarkable how quickly Portfolio's takes up arms.
I'm on the phone.
Yes. Yeah. The way this game depicts just sort of like wrath and chaos and blood and massacre, it just kicks tremendous amounts of ass. I'm sweating through my fisherman clothes.
Yeah, this is not a good. These are not good fisherman pants to be wearing for this sort of activity.
I think they're just trying to have a good afternoon catching animals, but you're not.
I got some bad news for them. They're not going to have a great afternoon.
I think you did them a favor, Max. That was not really a great boat to begin with. Look at that blood!
Blood, fire, fish slamming, doing this stuff. Come here.
That guy bailed out. Navigating underwater in this game is treacherous because there's animals everywhere, but there's also like a bunch of very like nice animals that you sort of feel bad about tearing apart. Like here's a turtle. Yeah. And he's cute, right? Not anymore.
Oh, don't eat the turtle. You're a man eater, not a turtle eater. Eat the mans.
That I can do. I have killed so many men in the last 30 seconds.
Do you guys any manatees in this game?
I think it's pronounced Maneater.
I think you should go fight something cooler than you. Fight an apex predator.
All right, so I think we're making our way into the Killer Queen Apex Zone. Here we go.
Oh my god.
This is the Apex Orca.
What a chomper.
Oh man.
Oof.
Oh man. Okay, here we go. So I'm level 23 right now. This orca is level 40, and so it's gonna get ugly. Oh no! No!
Oh, okay.
So I basically have no health. So the only thing I can really do right now is die.
Oh no!
That was ugly. Okay, I'm back in the orca's house. Where is she? Is that her? I think that's her. It is. Oh wow. Okay, she sees me.
You're gonna get eaten.
Whoa! Oh my god! She flipped me like 40 feet in the air. Holy crap!
Yeah, you're screwed, man. You should know better.
I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna go down and get some food. Can I get a parrotfish? Yes. Okay, that helped a little. Where is she? Do you see her? Oh man, she's coming right at me. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. So the trick is, don't get too greedy when you're attacking. Whoa!
You gotta wait until she's got like she's like blinking. You gotta do like a perfect dodge and then just do the chomping.
Whoa! There we go. Crap! Okay. Oh no! Oh no! 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 No!
I think this game makes me more scared of whales than sharks, man.
She wrecked me. That is tough. That is very, very tough.
There's this freaking alligator that I've been killed by like a million times, and I hate him.
Go fight that alligator that's been taunting you for this whole
You want me to
thing.
go fight the alligator? Okay, fine. I'll fast travel to go fight the alligator.
She's close, man.
She's right there. Oh, there it is.
Wow, it's fast.
Oh!
Look at that. Oh, she's level 20, dude.
Uh-oh.
You're only what? You're 14?
Okay. Oh, wow! Oh, I'm gonna get my ass kicked. Oh!
Your health is already halfway done. Whoa! Oh my god! Go, go, go! Nice. You only have to do that like 15 more times to take her down. I suggest you go get a nice snack.
That's a good
Get out
idea.
of there.
Grouper!
Watch your back. Okay, you got a little more health. Rosie's right behind you. Dodge! Nice! I think you can do this, dude. She's vicious.
Ah!
Holy crap! Nice!
There's another alligator. This sucks.
Wow, they are pissed at you, dude.
Well, yeah, I ate all the catfish, and then I came over and bit her in the leg, so...
You're chipping away. So close. This is your chance. This is it. Oh, dude!
Yes!
Yes! Eat those chunks.
Oh, got the palpitations.
That was incredible.
That was a good one.
I think we gotta go take a dip in the pond to cool off.
Yeah, I did all that through nasty-ass water. Good for me, lightning shark. Well, that was Maneater. We fought all sorts of challenges from the deep, such as the grouper, the alligator, the different alligator. But of course, most importantly of all, we ate the man, as the title suggested. Anyway, Maneater is out now on Epic Games Store for PC. It's on PS4, Xbox One. It's coming to Switch sometime later this year, so go and sink your teeth into it.
Yeah, take a bite out of the game with your hands. See, wasn't that a blast? Look at that. Maneater is out today on PS4, Xbox One, and Steam, and it's only $40, which is super cool. And it is coming to Switch later on at some point, so look out for that too. I'm absolutely playing it all weekend because I can't go anywhere else, and I want to go kill that awful beast that destroyed me.
The orca?
Yeah, it got revenge on me.
I want to eat the boat. I want to eat a big boat.
You can eat the boat.
Just get
you can eat a big boat.
Get a big bite of the boat.
Max, orcas are very scary.
Yes, they are. Orcas are very frightening. The sea is filled with all sorts of terrors. I love using the computer to talk. It is so much fun to have a normal conversation like such. You want to try that again?
Yeah. Max, orcas are very scary, but what else is even scarier than sharks?
That was a weird sentence, but okay. Yeah, so let's talk about that. The sea is filled with all sorts of unspeakable terrors that for the most part probably don't really want to do us that much harm aside from all the littering we do. And everyone, looks at the shark, and yes, the shark is frightening. As you can see, it has come out of the ocean to go, ah, which is a scary thing for the shark to do. It has the teeth, it can bite you, but it probably doesn't really want to do that. So I figured I would run down some of the other terrors of the deep. They have the big gums, and they don't even. They have infinity teeth. They have like infinite ammo for teeth. That's not fair. Yeah, let's take a look at some other horrible nightmares from the deep that I wanted. I mostly just wanted to look at scary pictures of fish. So if you're scared of fish, look away because we're going to look at some real creepy ones. Behold the eel. I hate eels. They're horrible. I hate moray eels so much. I whenever I'm on like I've been on vacation like 3 times, but whenever we go someplace where there's water, my wife is like, "Let's go scuba diving," and I'm like, "Hell no! There are probably eels down there. I don't want to go look at them." The whole thing is like when you go scuba diving, you're like, "Oh, let's go put on funny goggles and like look at the reef," or like, "Let's go snorkel around," and then you look down, and then these eels come out of like a hole in the ground with giant teeth looking like cornholio, and they just are so frightening, and I don't like them one bit. So
you know what's like, a lot of people don't
eels.
realize this. No one has actually seen the tail of an eel before. They're only like this because they are puppeted by underwater mermen who put their hands inside them and move their hands. This is an actual science fact.
There are some eels that have 2 little pairs of feet at the end with little boots on, like lowly worm, but you never see it because the eels are hundreds of feet long and they live deep within the caverns of the rock. Anyway, moving on. Another scary thing of the deep is, of course, the jellyfish. This is it on the land coming to try to kill you. That's a Portuguese man-o-war, my friend. The thing about the jellyfish is that it's like a gummy snack that floats around with terrifying yarn hanging off of it. And if you touch the yarn, even if it fell off of the gummy worm, it can kill you with neurotoxins or just give you a nasty sting, and then somebody has to pee on it because that's how they are. This is an animal that makes you have to pee on yourself for medicine reasons. That's awful.
I would a counterpoint. I think it's hilarious that there's an animal that makes you pee on your friends as a goof. Also, this looks like a beanbag chair had sex with a Dimetrodon.
Yeah, no, they look like things you'd buy at Pier 1 Imports, but then they actually have murder tentacles, and they're frightening. They're also just like they're clearly space aliens that fell in the water at some point in time and now live on Earth. So no thank you to that.
While we have you, pour one out for Pier 1 Imports. Rest in peace to those guys. What is that?
So this is the Japanese spider crab, which shouldn't. Get them the hell out of here. They're huge. I went to the Osaka Aquarium and they have an entire giant tank full of them, and these things are awful. They're just like they walk incredibly slowly, but they bully each other. So they're just like these things that are the size of German shepherds, just like wobbling around on these big stilty broomsticks, and they just will like go up to each other and be like.
Yuck.
And then one of them will like fall over and like slowly lose a leg, and then they'll all go over and eat the leg. They're nasty. And look at it's the size of a beach umbrella. Get no thank you. So yeah, don't go in the sea.
Wait,
First of all, for the shark,
can you eat them?
I would imagine so. So that's something that's good for it. That guy looks.
I want to take a big bowl of crab bisque, and I want to use one of those big thick legs, like a nice thick straw, and suck all the good meat out.
Oh boy, nasty times. Here's a bad one that actually can come on the land, which is the elephant seal. They're all over the place. A friend of mine had her dog bit by one up on the. She's like a surfer friend. She was like surfing around, and she had this pit bull that tried to start a fight with the elephant seal. But they weigh 900 pounds, and they will just bite your dog. So no, thank you.
That looks like the thing that Luke Skywalker got the milk out of. Is that the Talia siren or whatever?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what that is. It's got the big teats, but don't go near it because it'll bite you. No, these things are like surprisingly vicious. I feel like people are always like, oh no, there could be shark attacks in the California Ocean, but it's like people are like, no, you got to worry about the elephant seals more. So don't mess with them. And also look at that big floppy elephant nose, nasty.
It's gross.
Here's a real terror. The Australian saltwater crocodile. If you ever want to have some frights about what's in the water, go on the internet and look up videos of these guys because they will launch themselves like 11 feet out of the water to bite like meat that people are dangling like they do, and they're massive. They're so big. They're so huge. Too big.
Why would they do such a thing?
I mean, people go out on like cruise boats and they take like half a pig and they'll hang it out on like a golf ball retriever or whatever. And they'll be like, here it is. Here we go. Look at that. And then it'll just launch out of the water. And I'm like, they probably have people signing waivers before they go on those boats.
That's horrible.
Yeah, no, that's a fright. Here's where let's get real scary. Let's get Lovecraftian here.
Out of here.
The lamprey. The lamprey, one of the terrors of the deep. One of those, like, I think that if you think that sharks are the scariest thing in the ocean, you don't know enough sea animals, or you haven't read enough H.P. Lovecraft, because there's all sorts of nasty stuff down there that is clearly from either another dimension or it predates Earth itself, and we should fear it and we should respect the old ones.
Yeah, this is like a H.R. Giger like Roomba pool cleaner. Get him out of here. What is that garbage? I don't want to look at that face at all.
This is a new one. We found this is, you might think this is one of the aliens from They Live, but it is in fact a fish called a stargazer, which just lives on the bottom of the ocean and just stares up at the sky like, you know, like a cultist that worships like the cosmos or something, and it just lies on the ground looking like a zombie skeleton, and then it just bites the fish and they come by. So yeah, again, this is scarier than a shark. That's goddamn terrifying.
Yeah, that looks like a ghost man's face. It has a human nose. What is this thing?
This one, I think I tell you about this probably every 2 or 3 years, and you forget about it, and then I tell you again. It's such a joy to bring it up. This is the bobbit worm. This is one of the most frightening things that lives in the sea. It is a very long worm, like a centipede, and it lives underneath the sand, and it will come up, and it'll come up out of the ground like a whack-a-mole, and those things at the top of it work like scissors, and it'll go, and it'll just straight up like it'll just cut a fish in half. It'll go like that. So don't go in the water.
Can you eat it?
I don't think you'd want to. You probably could. You could probably eat anything.
It looks like a big buttery lobster tail.
That actually does look very appetizing. I think they're actually very small, though. I think this is a close-up picture. I hope.
I would eat it.
And then finally, there's also this. This is a very frightening thing in the sea, which is microplastics. Which is, it's our fault that it's in there. All of the crap that comes off of our like packaging and our nonsense and our just the things we buy. We're like, yeah, it'll be fine, and then it winds up in the sea. I read a thing where they melted some parts of Antarctica and they found microplastics in there. So like that's going to be there for a while. That stuff will all outlive us, and that's frightening. And then finally, the most frightening thing in the sea, I believe, is seaweed when it touches your foot and you think it's any one of the other things on this list. Seaweed is too scary. No, thank you.
That you can eat though, for sure. That's a good thing to eat. Max, we are big fans of movies here at IGN, and especially Up at Noon, and not all the movies have to be good. I want to point that out. Sometimes you can watch a movie because it's a good time, and it doesn't matter what it got on Rotten Tomatoes, and it doesn't matter that critics liked it, or if it's a critical hit, or if it got the thumbs up or the thumbs down, because you know who loves to eat thumbs? It's sharks. And so we put together a list of some of the best, stupidest, most fun, and awesomest shark movies of all time, because shark movies are really great. And I'll be honest with you, if you haven't noticed so far, yes, this entire episode is going to be about sharks. It didn't need to be, but we wanted it to be because that's a good time. Now, sharks are funny because I actually watch a lot of shark movies at home, specifically because my wife is terrified of them. And she will like actively look at shark movies in the same way that I will watch like I'll go on roller coasters or something that are like vaguely scary, but like to feel a thrill. And so I find all sorts of like good, bad, and ugly and dumb shark movies to show her. And so here are 10 shark movies that you should watch if you think sharks are cool, or if you think that people getting killed by sharks is cool. And we can't talk about shark movies without talking about Jaws, the quintessential shark movie that kicked it all off. A cinematic classic, came out in 1975. Steven Spielberg, one of the greatest movies of all time, one of the greatest horror movies of all time, specifically because it made you afraid of the entire ocean. And a good movie is basically supposed to say to you, what are you afraid of? And how do we capitalize on those fears? Are you afraid of the dark? Are you afraid of being alone in the house? Are you afraid of the woods? These are all sort of quantifiable things. To be not afraid of the dark, all you have to do is turn on the lights. To be afraid of an empty house, you just call your friends, put on the lights again, get out of the woods or whatever. The ocean is like most of the earth. And so to be afraid of the entire ocean, good work, Jaws. You did it.
Yeah, I mean, flip side, it also did make people be very mean to sharks. And it's like, it kind of gave sharks a bad rep. And Peter Benchley, who wrote the book it was based on, proceeded to kind of like, he kind of had like an Alfred Nobel sort of moment where he's like, oh no, I've created a monster. And he's done a bunch of like shark activism since. But at the same time, yes, it did make the original, shark horror movie. So it's good. And it's a good time.
So Yeah, and so I would say that this is not technically on the list, but we're putting it there to kick things off because you cannot make a shark movie without talking about Jaws at least a little bit. So let's move on to The Reef, which came out in 2010. It takes place entirely in Australia. This was a terrifying movie because it capitalizes on the sort of player agency of what do you do in a situation. It's like basically the fight or flight, but instead of flight, it's swimming. So a group of people who are friends go out to their friend's yacht, which essentially gets capsized, and they have to make a decision between staying on the boat as it slowly sinks and gets torn apart by sharks, as we saw earlier in Maneater. That's a thing they like to do, or swim basically 12 miles through shark infested waters. And so that's a tough call, obviously. And so some characters decide to say and others don't. And it's genuinely terrifying because movies like this are really interesting. They are mostly shot like sort of waist level up or neck level up, and you really have no idea what's going on underneath for the most part. And bad things happen, as you can see. The good thing about sharks is they can't really eat four people at the same time. And so that's a terror. So yes, go check out The Reef. Came out in 2010. It's a really fun time. Let's move on to 2017's movie 47 Meters Down, starring Mandy Moore, which you probably wouldn't have predicted would be in a shark horror movie. I really, really like this movie. It sort of takes the sort of shark terror and puts it on its head. We've all thought about or seen videos of people going in shark cages. And in this movie specifically, a shark cage goes into the water, as they do, and gets sort of like surrounded by sharks. But then the chain breaks and the shark cage goes completely underwater, where it is not only mangled and damaged, but now being attacked by sharks as the main characters of the film are slowly losing oxygen, which is just
That's too
so
scary.
many levels. So many levels of terrifying. It has one of my favorite, I would say, horror movies endings ever. And it also got a sequel, which is way less good, but still fun because it's about like blind sharks that can like hear you or whatever. It's dumb,
Okay.
but it's if you want to see a
I
bunch of
think
like rich teenagers get torn up, it's a good time.
I feel like they should have capitalized on the Mandy Moore Walk to Remember fandom and called this A Swim to Never Forget.
Yes, that's
Get it?
that's one of the choices. I do. Let's move on to 2003's Open Water, which I think is one of the first sort of like the kickoff of like this sort of resurgence of like shark horror movies that we've seen in the last 20 something years. This follows a sort of similar path to The Reef, where a group of people go scuba diving with a large group, and then the tour boat goes away and leaves them floating in the middle of the sea, which is an absolutely terrifying prospect. It's made me question if I ever want to go scuba diving ever again or anything like that. And so they once again are like, do we swim to shore? Where is shore? Is the boat coming back? Let's just hang out. And so a couple is basically stranded in the middle of the sea. It's shot like a sort of like Blair Witch found footage movie. And it's violent and terrifying and gross, and it's totally kicks ass. I really, really like this movie. This like absolutely capitalizes on all the fears you could ever possibly have of being stranded out in sea. There's so much awful, awful stuff out there. Fast forward to 2016. The Shallows brought us, I would say, one of the most big budget modern shark movies since Jaws, and one of the really sort of like intensely interesting ones too, because this is essentially about the quest of one surfer versus a group of sharks. She gets essentially stuck out on a small jetty of rocks just a little bit away from shore, and that slow journey back to land proves to be incredibly terrifying.
I love this one because it's most of these, it's scary because it is like, oh, it's like The Reef, it's open water, it's you're out in the middle of nowhere, and there's a sense of like it's just as much being afraid of the ocean as it is of the shark. But in this case, like she can see land. Like there's something so like terrifying about being like that close, but still it being just a desperate, return home. It's also, this one does a weirdly good job. This is like a totally not a thing I was expecting in a shark movie. It does such a good job of managing to make dialogue out of text messages.
Right. Yeah. You're totally right. I completely forgot about that part. Yeah, so it stars Blake Lively, and she is basically just trying to get back to shore. This trailer is showing a lot, so we'll cut away. But please watch it if you're interested, because it's super, super fun. On the flip side, one of the cheapest, stupidest, dumbest horror movie shark movies ever made is House Shark. Yes, House Shark. I will do my best to explain this, but I can't say anything more than the title and the box art is explaining to you itself. House Shark is a movie about a house that has a shark in it. You're probably asking yourself, how's that possible? Sharks have to go underwater. Well, not a house shark.
No, it's somewhere between Tremors and Home Alone, but if the shark was in the toilet. Yeah.
It's hyper violent, hyper low budget. The shark will pop out of any room that you could possibly imagine. It is incredibly stupid, but that's probably what you're looking for if you're looking for something very dumb.
If you read a movie called House Shark and you think it's going to be serious, you got, I don't know, you need to adjust your worldview or something. That's pretty, it's pretty straightforward there.
Somehow even dumber than that movie is 2011's Sand Sharks, which stars Brooke Hogan, Hulk Hogan's daughter. And this is a movie about sharks that not only go in the sea, but they also go on the sand. So if you're worried about going to the ocean and you're like, I'm just going to stay on the beach, well, guess what? They'll get you there too. This is incredibly dumb. The CG is laughably bad. It is one of the stupidest movies ever made. It is, even the trailer, look at that. This trailer had me in tears the first time I saw it because it's comical. And this, you have to keep in mind, this movie came out before stuff like Sharknado, which got like 7 sequels. This is Brooke Hogan at her, I would say, career best. Some of the finest acting work I've ever seen in a shark film, some of the best CG ever, some of the most, no, none of that's true. This movie is incredibly stupid.
I like this poster too, because it was like it's like somebody who had seen the Jaws poster describing the Jaws poster to somebody who hadn't seen it and being like, yeah, I'll just see if you can figure that out. And it's, yikes.
Yeah, this movie was made almost entirely for like with dollar store props and with After Effects, presets and it's stuff like that. So that's a good time. Fast forward to 2013. Obviously, we just mentioned it. We cannot not talk about it. Sharknado, now a cult classic. I think that this movie's done a really good job of sort of capitalizing on the so bad it's good revitalization that we've seen. That I think like something like Snakes on a Plane couldn't really get to because it was almost like too high budget. Sharknado is perfectly dumb. Once again, self-explanatory. This is a movie about a tornado full of sharks. This is Ian Ziering and Tara Reid, who were big in the 90s and 2000s on all sorts of dumb TV shows and movies and fan favorites. And they have gone on to make like 5 or 6 of these movies.
I think they did 7.
7.
Yeah, and then there's like Sharktopus and like there's Lava Land. There's all these different like there's a whole cinematic universe that it's all nonsense. It's all madness.
We spoke earlier about the Shallows, which is a big budget shark movie. Even bigger than that. Actually, no. Let's go to this one right here. Let's go to Shark Night 3D. Shark Night 3D is, once again, incredibly stupid. Came out in 2011, same year as Sand Sharks. That was a good year for bad shark movies. Shark Night 3D is once again, it takes the comfort of a place you wouldn't expect to find sharks, such as the sand or a house, and it puts that in a lake. Why would you ever find sharks in a lake? Well, in Shark Night 3D, you do. So a group of people who are probably 40 pretending to be 20 are all on a fun boating trip in Louisiana on a lake. And guess what? There's sharks. Uh-oh. Perfect paradox. And the ladies are there and the fellas, and not good things happens to all of them. So if you like lakes and you like sharks and you want to see people get dead on a lake, then you could do this. I don't even know how you would watch this movie in 3D in 2020. Maybe you have one of those old TVs. I have no idea how to do that.
You gotta use your imagination. I think you watch most of the movie covering one eye, and then when parts are exciting, you look at it with full depth perception. That probably gives you some advantage.
That's right.
Anyway.
So yeah, this is from from the producers of Hostel and the I guess Texas Chainsaw Massacre reboot, prequel, sequel, whichever one of those that was. Definitely not the original though. I don't think Toby Hooper had any involvement in this movie whatsoever. Next we have The Meg, which I think is probably the biggest budget shark movie on this list by far. This is a movie that it is basically combining dozens of high level actors and set pieces and special effects and money. It got Jason Statham and the Dwight from The Office and like a million other people. It's an absolutely insane roster, and it is about a gigantic megalodon who is the world's biggest, most ancient shark.
This was based on a really popular book that I remember a lot of kids who were into Jurassic Park in middle school were also into The Meg. Like they were like, yeah, prehistoric things come around. And I was like, I'm sure this book's going to be turned into a kick-ass movie at some point. And it took them like 25 years to turn into a movie. And I feel like they didn't quite stick the landing. It could have been one of those, like maybe they should have done it sooner, but it's definitely got some very, very fun moments.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Like, I don't think this is a great film. I don't think it's like, I think it's like particularly too serious at times, and then at other times it's not, and it doesn't really tonally nail what it needs to do. But there's some great set pieces where just like the biggest shark in any of these movies is just tearing stuff apart. And finally, the cult classic Deep Blue Sea, which has one of my favorite plots ever, and the box art where all of those people listed up there are not that woman, which is weird. That is such a bad box art. It's hilarious. Deep Blue Sea it's a movie about a group of scientists that go to an isolated research facility to search for the cure for Alzheimer's, and instead become the bait of a trio of intelligent sharks. They breed
the sharks because shark brains are immune to Alzheimer's, and they're like, we need to make the sharks smarter, and so they make the sharks really smart, and then they break out and they decide to try to eat LL Cool J and his pet parrot. And there also there's a rap at the end that LL Cool J does where he says, "My hat is like a shark's fin," I think, and it's just so good, good.
Yeah, it's amazing. There was like a vodka gin distillery out in Alameda, California, where they still have the shark from this movie because they bought a warehouse and converted it into a place to make hard alcohol, and opened up a crate and found this shark, and they were like, we can't get rid of this. So you can actually go see the shark in this movie, or one of the sharks in this movie, in person, which I have done while getting day drunk, and it is a very, very good time. So yeah, those are 10 fun, bad, stupid, awesome, ridiculous, idiotic, and grotesque horror shark movies that you should watch right now or this weekend or whenever you're home. You're not doing anything. So if you like shark movies, watch those. And if I missed any, which I definitely did, hit us up and let us know in the comments, because I will absolutely watch those movies. I don't have a lot going on, and I love the shark.
Yeah. I want to just real quick. I think we can talk about Jaws a bit more later, but I want to talk right now about shark toys. There have been numerous shark toys through the history of time. I think because sharks have always been sort of cool. They're in a lot of ways they're the dinosaur of the sea, and they've made a bunch of interesting ones. Let's start with the obvious one. I think a lot of people had one of these growing up. This has been in Toy Story. It is the squeaky shark, which is really just a stupid. You have one behind you, right? There's that one. Yeah, I don't know who. Like, I don't know what the design philosophy was behind that. Of like, let's make a toy shark, and also, what does the shark say? Squeak, squeak. Yeah, so why not? I guess. So, thankfully, they have made better sharks since then. I think, obviously, one of the big, huge ones is Street Sharks. This was a kind of like a weird aggro answer to Ninja Turtles. They dropped in the early 90s, and they were trying to capitalize on sort of, anthropomorphic cool animals, but let's make them really aggro and badass. And like, weirdly enough, there is an old commercial floating around. I don't know if we have it here, but there was a Toy Fair sort of like promo video that has Vin Diesel in it when he's young, he's in his 20s. He's like a very, very young Vin Diesel, and he's it makes me wonder if we'll ever see like Street Sharks get like the big budget treatment or get resurrected with that, weird 90s nostalgia. But yeah, these were these were fun. These were fun Sharkmen toys. There's also this one was weird because the shark. There's Vin Diesel, and the shark the hammerhead just shoots his own head off, which is kind of messed up. Look at him!
Right?
Look at that little baby Vin Diesel.
Yeah, this was, the era where you had Ninja Turtles and Biker Mice from Mars and all sorts of like ridiculous, extreme takes on regular animals being mutated and then getting stuff like, guns and rollerblades.
Yeah. And they always had a cool favorite food. But I loved it like Vin Diesel is like, oh yeah, and now the shark is gonna punch the turtle over, take that, turtles. And it's like, oh, all right, weird. Anyway, moving on from that, another wonderful 90s shark toy. One of my personal favorites is the Mighty Max shark playset, which is really violent for a children's toy. It's all like stuck full of harpoons and stuff. And you open it up and it's, of course, like a whole weird, bizarrely Cthulhu playset where, Mighty Max has to ride a manta ray to fight this like squid-faced man, and there's like squids floating around everywhere. Mighty Max was good stuff. I love Mighty Max. My name is
I had
Max,
this toy
obviously.
too. I was surprised at how bloody the teeth were. This is one of those things where like this was kind of like this was a tough sell to my mom to be like, can we buy this? Like this is definitely a tough sell.
This one is speaking of bloody toys. This is one of the coolest toys that I had a chance. I remember standing at a KB Toys, holding it in the box. It had one of those markdown stickers. It was like it was $30 and now it's 20. And I was like, I don't know, man. $20 is a lot of money, and now this thing goes for like $300. This is the Todd McFarlane Movie Maniacs Jaws Orca box set, which is just so like. It is so gnarly. It comes with a little tiny quint you can shove in the shark's mouth. The shark, sadly enough, is not a full shark. It's just sort of its torso. But the boat is beautiful. I don't know. I'm like, this is one of those things. Like, this is one of those like white whales, I suppose, that sort of managed to get away from me. But it's also, I appreciate that it's not like Street Sharks are cool. Mighty Max is cool. There's something beautiful about just a straight old shark, like a regular shark. Which we sadly don't get quite enough toys of. For instance, here is the Transformers Beast Wars Cyber Shark, which is one of several different Transformers sharks, which is a kick-ass toy. But again, we can't just get like a regular ass shark action figure. We got to get this we got to get one that shoots missiles and has chrome on it, because that's how the 90s work. You got to have a little bit of craziness in there.
Yeah, that's basically like the underwater Batman.
Weirdly enough, Ninja Turtles didn't get much in the way of a shark. Like, there was no shark action figure in the original line. There's this character named Amagon who first appeared, I think, in the Archie Ninja Turtles comics, was then integrated in Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters, the fighting game, and then didn't get his own action figure or own comic book appearance until way later. I think this is from the 2008 Ninja Turtles series. And I like that he's just kind of like, he's kind of bashful. Like, he looks like an old professor. He's very...
he's thick too. Look at those soccer legs.
Yeah. No, he's got like.
No, you're totally right.
Legs of a toddler.
It's totally insane that like the Ninja Turtles original line got so many different animals, from ducks to giraffes to lions and pandas and tigers and all that fun stuff, but it never got a shark, which seemed like the smart move. They even got frogs and
really
toads
odd.
And stuff like that. Yeah.
Very, very strange. Now, obviously, one of the more sort of recent iconic shark characters who's only going to get more iconic is King Shark, who is a weird kind of deep cut DC supervillain who got, he's just basically Killer Croc in shark form. He got introduced in the New 52, or not introduced, but sort of reintroduced in the New 52 Suicide Squad. And he's hilarious, and he's since become a lot more common in various DC appearances. Here is him from one of the, I think, 4-inch Batman lines. They did another one where he comes with this ridiculous transforming shark armor, which is like, that is like an authentically goofy ass 90s toy.
Oh my God, that helmet.
Funko did their sort of weird He-Man inspired DC Primal Age series. And then there's the King Shark, with the grass skirt, tunic thing like that, which is just that weirdly enough totally does look like a He-Man figure. And then there's a very rare one here, which is the multiverse Build-A-Figure King Shark, which is freaking gorgeous, and I wish it was easier to track it down. And they even make an alternate head where he's got the hammerhead shark head, which is, I think, one of the scariest animal faces in history.
That rules. That's a great toy. I'm not
course,
crazy about the concept of swimming in jeans, though.
No, I think it's like a fun werewolf bit, though. But speaking of things that would be uncomfortable to swim with, I think a giant beard and long hair would probably be tricky in the grand scheme of things. But Yeah, Aquaman the movie with Jason Momoa. He did a lot of cool shark stuff in that. That has a wonderful amount of sea creatures in the tail end. You still haven't seen that, have you, Brian?
No, I should watch it.
It's you can honestly there's a lot of kind of talk and there's some serious stuff in the front, but then there's like at the end there's just like basically nonsense bananas trapper keeper like underwater psychedelic garbage nonsense with like sharks and dolphins and it's wild. It's very and I like a shark with a saddle on it. That's a good time. Um, I don't know what in the hell this is. This is a recent toy. This is the what is it called? The Pope. It's like the Popo. It's like some weird European company. It's
Popo
called the
Pirates.
Popo Pirates and Corsair. And it's just like one of those weird, like generic, vaguely educational European toys. That's just like, hey, here's a shark pirate, he's kind of funny. I like him. Also
He's
in the
great.
sort of vaguely generic educational thing, you found this nightmare, which is like a foot long, and I think it's like $17 on Amazon. But like, what the hell is that?
Dude, I love the like hyper realistic toys like that because like my kid has a few, but they're like giraffes and like a brontosaurus, which we never actually saw in real life. But this is like vicious as hell. Like they could have made the mouth closed, but they went full detail on this. You can see this thing's throat, like it's horrifying.
Yeah, that's deeply upsetting. I like it. I might have to get one. And then kind of getting in the seaweeds here. Here's the WWE's The Shark, who I don't. Do you know him? Is he a familiar wrestler to you?
So he looks exactly like a dude named Earthquake there used to be a tag team called the Natural Disasters of two guys that looked like my dad named Earthquake and Typhoon. And this looks like him that I guess maybe he came back as the shark. Like we
kind
had
of
the
does
toys
look
of
like
them
your
when we were
dad.
kids. We would always make fun of my dad because we'd be like, hey, we have your action figure and hold up this like fat guy.
Yeah, so it's funny how like it really you'd think there'd be more just like, hey, the shark is a kick-ass animal, here's a toy of it, but a lot of people are like, no, here's the shark as a man or a street shark or a robot shark. Here's one like why we have Shark Tank action figures. That's not that's the most depressing interpretation of a shark in action figure form imaginable. I'm not having that one bit.
Well, the
Also,
irony
I
of
don't
this
know,
is
like
if you pitched Shark Tank action figures to the guys on Shark Tank, they'd be like, nobody's going to buy that.
yeah, what the hell? That was a convention exclusive, and the chairs are nice. Those would be good for like customizing. I don't know how much they go for though, but then not all shark toys are kick ass either. We found this one, which is like this is a girl's shark.
Yeah, look at this is that's the Playmobil Mermaid King of the Sea and Shark Carriage. It's a carriage.
Ooh.
And so it's gold and it's got this big sort of like wave leash. This is ridiculous. And what I love about this is that the King of the Sea is a merman and he has a fin, which means he could easily just swim himself, but instead he's like, I'm tired and I'm a king, so the shark will take me everywhere. Hi ho, chariot awaits.
I like to think that this guy's like, I shall fetch the king of the sea, the golden shark, and he shall pull me about in my carriage. And then he like rigs it up with like a kelp lasso, and the shark just immediately bites him in the arm and just tries to maul him. But anyway, here's a really cool one. This is one of the greatest shark toys. This is the shark car that Hot Wheels made in 1987. They've done this in different versions also. They made like a really big one. They've made like shark like play sets. I like that Hot Wheels is just like, they have such a loose style guide that they're like, yeah, Hot Wheels is all about cars, but sometimes sharks, the opposite of a car. Like, what?
Yeah,
a car
their
can't
style
even
guide
go
is
in the
basically
sea.
like their style guide is, does it have wheels? Maybe, sure, ship it. Like you have a hot dog Hot Wheels, right?
Well, that's an existing motor
Yeah.
vehicle, though. Oscar Mayer Wienermobile is a known vehicle. You can see it out on the roads in America's byways and highways. But the shark, you would never see the shark as a car. That's madness. And then this is a classic. This is the original Lego shark figure. What I didn't realize is they've retooled this so many times. They've made all these weird little modern tweaks to like the classic Lego shark. The new one has like eyeballs. It has like whites to its eyes, which is just too much. I want the dead black eyes of the old shark. I want those little holes. And it's got like a big, like, it's got like a cute little nose. It's not even that threatening. Good toy. one of the finest shark toys ever made. This is a more recent development, which is those. Have you ever seen these, Brian? The helium sharks?
Yes, yes,
They
these are
were like
amazing.
really, they were so popular around, I want to say around the same time as the Snuggie, like about 10 years ago. And they were like this popular either like office novelty gift or like a thing for your crappy little cousin, who I don't know who this kid is, but he's somebody's little cousin. And then they would be really fun and really cool. And you'd be like, wow, it looks just like a real shark. And it would swim around the house. And then like a week would go by and it would deflate a little bit and it would just sort of like sag in the corner. And you'd be like, oh no, the king of the sea has become, he's become depressed. And then by the end of it, it would
What I
just
love
completely deflate. And you'd be like,
What I love about these things is that they float very slowly, like as if they're underwater. So you walk into a room and you see one floating, and there's a half a second where your brain's like, "Am I drowning? Like,
yeah.
am I my office underwater? What is happening?"
Yeah, no, they're like a surprisingly scary toy. But yeah, so that's a bunch of shark toys that we like. I think what do we have? We have one more here. This is a very special one, and it's going to get us into our next segment here. This was one of the best shark toy like giveaways they ever had, and this was in back in the 90s, the peak shark times for brain damaged adults like us. There was the glow in the dark shark bites toy sharks. I had the one in the front there with the glow in the dark mouth, which didn't make any sense because like why would the mouth glow in the dark? What kind of animal has like bioluminescent teeth? That's weird. But also look at its face. It looks like Victorian drawings of sharks. They did not have like anybody else who could sculpt a better shark than that thing. It's terrible.
I literally didn't even know that one up front existed. I had the one in the upper right, the sort of like quintessential. He was glow in the dark colors, so like lime green. And
Yeah,
I
that
didn't
kicks
really. I've
ass.
never even. Yeah, I've never seen the ones in the other ones up there before. But yeah,
Yeah, the bottom
this is
one sucks. Like I hate that. You had a better
yeah,
childhood
he's
than
not
me
great
because
at
you
all.
had the pointy sharks. Load of shit.
I'm
Anyway, let's
sorry.
talk about shark bites.
Yeah, and so in the 90s, as shark attacks were running wild, and we lived in a post Jaws world, children
What do you mean
had the
shark attacks were running wild? They weren't running wild.
yes, they were. Just let me set this up.
No. Fine, okay.
Children had the opportunity to bite back, and the only way they could do that was at their local grocery store, where they purchased Shark Bites, the chewy fruit snacks, assorted fruit. Shark Bites were amazing. I have been and always will be a huge fan of gummies. I love gummies. I love the gummy rings. I love the gummy bears and the snakes and the worms and all sorts and such. Haribo is one of the best gummy companies on the planet. But in the 90s, a company called the Fruit Corners made this thing called Shark Bites. I actually think this started in 1988. Betty Crocker went on to keep working on the line. They still make them. Those are the ones on the right there. They apparently taste a little bit differently. And what's interesting about Shark Bites is they were gummies that they were entirely shaped like sharks. There was really no other animals in there. It was just sharks. At some point, they made them look like shark teeth, which was different. But the most important thing about that is that a few years after launching, they did some really cool stuff, such as including white sharks, the great white shark itself, who was sort of like a slightly more rare pack-in. I couldn't find any pictures of those in their original packaging because who would save such a thing? But this is what they look like in the upper left, I believe now. And so you would get this assorted fruit pack of different flavors. And if you got lucky, you would get the white one, which most children believe tasted the best. A few years after that, they had an even better one, which was the tiger shark, which was basically just this like swirled colored like orange creamsicle version of the white shark, equally delicious, just as rare, just as sort of formidable. If you were the kid at school that had Shark Bites and you opened up the pack, you could basically trade that white shark for anything on the table, or that tiger shark. Are you kidding me? You could probably get your friend to give you his dad's car keys for a whole week.
No, that was
if you traded
that was like a rare holographic chase variant fruit snack. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
I like nothing else had that to be like to that thrill of opening a pack and being like, wow, like I wish Skittles would do that. Like, what if there were gold Skittles and you'd be like, oh, I got the gold Skittle, and it's like, what does that mean? Nothing. It's just exciting. It's like a rare breed.
And
I don't know.
and they got you sick. So the cool thing about Shark Bites also is that they did some really cool pack-in toys, like the aforementioned glow-in-the-dark sharks, which were really great, and that weird whale shark thing that Max got. But they also made a thing that I had, and here's the original commercial for it in all of its glorious resolution. just a wonderful time to be a kid is like, oh no, he got bitten by the sharks, but don't worry, it's just gummies. And he puts it on the raft and it gets wet and it's gross. But look at those bags. They were like holographic blue, and it's just a good time. So yeah, I actually had a set of toys that these guys gave away eventually, which were these bizarre plastic hollow sharks that had a compartment inside that you filled with baking soda, and you put them into like a sink or your bathtub, and they would like bubble up and like move on their own, which is completely insane. Is to go like borrow a chemical from your mom's pantry and put it in your bathtub. So yeah, shark bites were awesome. They apparently still make them now, but the flavors are slightly different. But I bet you can search for them. And long live sharks and gummies. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is that this line actually got like a weird variant where there were like gummy bear versions that had like
What?
They made like a girl version of shark bites that was like the same exact flavors but different molds, and their white shark was essentially like a Pegasus horse. It's like a purple Pegasus horse. So there's that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I remember that. Yeah, that was so weird. You say that these taste different now. I think that we are different people now. I think our tongues are 30 years older than the way they were when we first ate these, and maybe that has something to do with it.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't. Kids even like. I feel like kids don't like fruit snacks anymore. But like, like they have TikTok, I guess, and and anyway,
yeah, they were called the Berry Bears, and yeah, they had basically Pegasus variants that were purple. So good luck hunting those down.
God, I slightly remember that. So before we go, I want to talk about Jaws a little bit. I want to talk about Jaws. I was crazy about Jaws as a kid. For some reason, like I think when I was in second grade, at sort of the peak of like shark hype, I got it in my head that Jaws was the original shark movie, but also I was way too young to watch Jaws, and also I was a huge coward, so I was like, I don't know, but I also was like, I'm kind of the big guy who likes sharks a lot. My nickname should be Jaws, and so I made all my friends in second grade call me Jaws, which is also not how nicknames work, and I don't know why. I don't know why that was the nickname. I was just like, yeah, because Jaws, and they were like, but why? And I was like, oh, it's fine, don't worry about it. And I would write Jaws on all my notebooks, and I would make it so that like the A was a shark's head coming out of the water, and the W was like teeth with blood dripping off. Like I have this in like old school notebooks kicking around somewhere. I don't get it. And so what happened was I wound up, the first time I eventually saw Jaws, the first Jaws I saw wasn't even the original Jaws. I was hanging out with my friend Nick Wojtuk, and we got to go to a video store in Kent, Connecticut, where like we get to pick out a movie. And I was like, I think we should finally watch Jaws, because his was the house where we would go to like watch R-rated movies. I saw Speed at his house for the first time, which is the first R-rated movie I saw. And we were like, he's like, let's rent a Jaws movie. And we went to the video store, and we see all like the VHS tapes of like this whole Jaws series. And the whole thing about the movies is like the original Jaws is like, it was like 1975. It's a super old movie. So the VHS box was all like faded and kind of lame looking. And I was like, I don't know, it's original Jaws. Like, who needs that? It looks kind of old. Uh-huh. And I kind of went down the road, and it was like Jaws 2. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And it was like Jaws 3. And he's like attacking a theme park. And I was like, well, that's look more exciting. And then I get to Jaws the Revenge, which is the Rocky IV of shark movies. It is the most nonsense. Yes. It's so completely bonkers out there. There is a wonderful like whole backstory about why this movie exists. It was made to try to capitalize on the popularity of Aliens, because they were like, well, Roy Scheider, who plays Chief Brody in the other movies, doesn't really want to be a part of this. So let's get the actors who played his wife, who was married to the producer. It'll be her vehicle as like a kick-ass like feminist monster fighter. But they're like, how do we justify the shark coming back? And they're like, that's it. It'll be the mother of the shark from the first movie Who Wants Revenge, or something like that. But they basically made it so the sharks were telepathic, and they had a familial grudge match with the Brody lineage. And so they transplanted the whole thing to Jamaica. And there's this whole weird subplot where it's like Chief Brody's widow being like, I'm the last one left in the Brody family, and this shark family and my family have been going at it long enough. And so like sharks don't give a shit about revenge. They're sharks, man. They're not going to follow you around. But then anyway, so then I wound up for whatever reason, like my interest in Jaws like resurfaced, no pun intended, when I was about 12. And I was like, if I want to be like and I'd seen the original at that point. I was like, if I want to be a real Jaws fan, I need to read the Jaws book. And the thing about Jaws, the novel by Peter Benchley, is it's not really that much about sharks. It's not really that much of a monster movie. It's about a recession. It's about a small beach community that is suffering because of money. And there's all these weird subplots about how like Chief Brody's wife has an affair, and there's people are cheating on each other. The mayor in the movie of Jaws is like, we got to open the beaches. Everyone loves to go to the beach. And in the book, there's a whole thing about how he owns a bunch of beachfront property, and he's trying to like capitalize off of like the popularity of going to the beach. And he has to borrow money from the mob to like pay it off. And so he finds out that they have to close the beaches because there's a shark kicking around. And he's like, the mob is going to kill me. And so it's like, it's not even really about the shark. It's about people being these weird messed up. It's more like The Ice Storm. Like it's a depressing movie about like adults in the 70s. And so I'm reading this like 300-page book about like marital strife and like, you know, economic problems and like, you know, property values when I'm 12. And I'm like, I wanted a shark book. Should have read the Meg.
God, that's amazing. So yeah, go read that if you're looking for something to really sink your teeth into. And we hopefully gave you plenty of toys to buy on eBay and weird shark movies to watch. And we just want to say thank you again for sticking with us. It was really, really fun to do a full hour of shark nonsense. That was a fun challenge. Again, we didn't have to. We wanted to.
No, like, yeah, to clarify, they're like, yeah, Maneater wants to sponsor Up at Noon. And we're like, can we do a shark-themed episode? And they were like, I guess, sure. So if you have an episode, you'd like to see a fully themed episode of this show, let us know what you'd want to see it themed around. If you hate sharks, tell us what you think is cooler than sharks, which we should focus on instead, and we will do our best to do that.
Yeah, I will promise that next week's episode will probably have like 99% less sharks in it. I can't promise 100% shark-free episode. That's just, I don't have that kind of power. I don't know what next week could bring. There might be like a leaked version of the Snyder Cut where that shark dude is there. I have no idea. Things are crazy out there right now. And on that, I wanted to say thank you all for sticking with us and for watching Up at Noon. And thank you to Maneater for supporting our show and making this happen. And we will see you next week.